Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Los Banos Talk. My name is Justin Collins. On tonight's episode, I'm going to be giving you an update on recent council actions and things going on within our city government, like what's going on with the police contract, what's going on with the case against Republic Services, what's going on in other matters, and I'll be giving you all that detail in just a moment, right after a brief message from our sponsor.
So here we have the Termination, and it has media onion, cabbage, cilantro.
Meat, and then there's some lime. And we're back. Thanks for watching. So once again, like I said, I'm going to be giving you some updates on some things that have occurred recently within our city council and to keep you informed on what is going on. So to start off with, the council voted unanimously to approve a settlement with Republic Service. So this was announced on the mayor's corner on October 1st, 2021. And Mayor Tom Freya essentially announced that the city had won this one-time settlement payment with Republic Services for the amount of $600,000. So according to what he said in his mayor's corner, the city had to agree to pay all the months of service that was rendered under the contract, but that the city would be compensated for the disruption of service, which in this case is the $600,000. Now, taking this settlement also means that the matter is settled and that neither party is liable for any further claims or damages, etc., within that time period. Something about this, though, that I think is important to note is that if we look back on things, one of the reasons the former city manager, Alex Terrazas, was fired really was because he wasn't pursuing any legal actions or legal remedies with Republic in order to resolve this matter, despite the fact that he was repeatedly ordered to do so by council. And ultimately, when he was fired, and then the then police chief, Gary Breezy, became the acting city manager and started the process of the paperwork, it basically started to happen immediately that week. Suddenly, Republic Services started changing how they did stuff. We started getting our trash on time again. And then the paperwork and the ball started rolling in order to make this all happen. So the reason why I'm bringing that up is because many people question the decision of council, excluding Tom Freya, who voted to retain the city manager, regarding the early termination of Alex Terrazas because, well, we had to continue paying his salary until his contract was up. He only had like 2 to 3 months left, and and we had to pay some other staff more. Like when Gary Breezy became acting city manager, he got a small pay increase, and then of course everyone who filled his positions, police commanders, etc., moved up to his position. Everyone got a pay increase, right? So there was an additional cost in terms of staff. But actually, I think the city made actually a good move here. And the reason is because this $600,000 settlement would not have happened had council not made this decision. Because when we look back on it, he simply was not going to pursue it and wasn't. And I guess he believed it was just not worth his time or unable to do it or was afraid to do it. I'm not really sure. But the point is he just wasn't doing it. And it was frustrating everyone. You got someone else in there and within a week, it started happening. And then now here we are today, flash forward a year into the future, and we have this $600,000 settlement. And the thing is that we never would have had that had we not made this decision to fire him at that time. So when we do the math, and by the way, that's not even considering the fact that the new city manager is a lot cheaper than the one we just had. But when we do the math, if we're thinking of it as a business, right, the city basically profited I mean, cities don't profit, but basically, if it's increased its revenue, it's reduced expenses by firing him because it did cost more initially, but this settlement covers it and some that we wouldn't have had we kept him. And on top of that, we got a new one faster, and then we had immediate issues remedied. So when we look back on it and think about this, the council's decision to terminate the last city manager was obviously and easily one of the most consequential decisions the council has made in a very long time, and had one of the broadest wide sweeping effects on the city, its policies, etc., and had some of the largest consequences politically and materially that we've seen. And so I think that's interesting. And then once again, for the record, I need to let you know that everyone voted to terminate Alex Terrazas early except Tom Freya. He did not vote to terminate it early. He was the only abstaining vote. However, with that being said, what I've been told is that Tom Freya wasn't in favor for extending his contract. He just simply voted no because he didn't want to terminate him early, but it sounds like he didn't have any intention of keeping him past his contract anyway. And to put it in more perspective, when he was terminated, he only had like 2 to 3 months left. And again, that really says something because it's unusual to terminate someone so close to the end. But again, had they not done it, because time was of the essence, this settlement wouldn't have happened, and those garbage issues we were having literally would have not been resolved when they were. So it's nice to hear how that's come full circle. So the next thing that I'll talk about real quick, because I've had a lot of people ask me about this. So people have asked me about the police contract, the negotiations, what's happened. Well, in a sense, nothing and a lot. Basically, what has happened with the police contract is that after I guess that video and people were concerned, more or less what happened is that the negotiations were seemingly going to get voted on, and I guess they were going to be approved. But then what ended up happening was they shelved it. They took no action. They shelved it, and they'll take action again. So it seems like everyone's gone back to the drawing board. I don't know, enter negotiations again, more or less, but basically it just kind of stalled everything. So you might consider that good news, right? Or you might think of it as no news. It's kind of a mix of both, really. But basically what's happened is it's just stalled it. Depending upon which side you talk to, you kind of get two very conflicting sides of the story. If you talk to people in the city, basically what you hear is that, sure, they think police officers should get paid more, but they're saying they just literally don't have the money to do so. And they also argue that when they have done pay increases in the past, people still leave anyway. And so they feel as though it doesn't really matter, and that they're never going to be able to really compete with a lot of the other cities. So what's the point of even trying? That's basically what I've gotten in a nutshell, the talking points from pretty much everyone I've talked to from the city side. On the police side, basically talking points are we hit surpluses each year. We have a reserve that keeps building. The city's growing. Crime is growing, and we need to have higher salaries in order to retain and keep more seasoned officers. We keep losing officers to other places. And essentially, they argue that the city does have the money, they just don't want to spend it. So again, you have these two conflict. One says you do have enough money, you just don't want to spend it. And the other side says, no, we don't have enough money, we can't spend it. Now, the last thing that I'll bring up real quick is the Pioneer Improvement Plan, right? So a lot of people have asked about that. And I recently did a video where I talked about the Ortigalita and Badger Flats intersection and how that's going to be signalized, as they called it. And basically, they're going to be improving different sections, and that's coming from a specific pot of money from the MCAG, et cetera. And to make a long story short, to be blunt with you, the Pioneer Improvement Plan, I would be absolutely shocked if it ever happens. Pretty much, if you're worried about it, I wouldn't be. Seriously, don't. I feel like it's that thing that everyone is just kind of pretending like it's real because we have to. But at the end of the day, we all know it's not going to happen. And here's why. Because it costs over $70 million. We don't have $70 million. And we don't know where we would get $70 million. and the state, et cetera, these highway funds, they're not going to give us the $70 million. There is virtually no way that this project is going to come to fruition. If we're being completely blunt, open, and honest here, Mayor Mike Vialta really wanted this project to happen. He kept BSing everyone, saying it's done deal from the MCAG. Turns out it was a big lie, which a lot of things he did was. And no, MCAG had no plans to fund this thing. It wasn't a done deal at all. But Tom Freya, being his friend and helping him campaign, part of the deal was he had to help get this project done. This is really Mike Vialta's project. Even though the man's leaving out of state, this is his thing. So Tom is trying to get it pushed through, even though we all know it's not going to work. I don't even think Tom thinks it's going to work, but we're trying to get this thing pushed through and going through the motions and piecemealing things here and there. But the $70 million is just never going to manifest itself. And it's a solution in search of a problem. Virtually nobody really wants it because Pioneer is already pretty traversable and nice. Putting a bunch of traffic lights in it, all up and down it and everything would actually just make it even slower than it is now, make it worse than it is now. And also it opens it up to more development at the southern part, which a lot of people don't want. And there's all kinds of problems with it. Not only is it unpopular, but on top of that, it's just unaffordable. So it's not going to happen. And on top of that, I mean, just from my personal conversations, I can tell you, I think everyone on the council is against it, with the exception of maybe Tom himself. I can't speak for Deborah, but it doesn't really seem like there's any true, genuine support for this. So I would be shocked. I would be shocked if this seriously ever comes to fruition. I genuinely would not worry yourself about it. It won't happen. It just give it some time. And eventually we'll have this come to Jesus moment where it's like, okay, you guys want this plan, but where's the 70 million? And it's not there. And then it just dies. That eventually that's the reality, because this is an absurd amount of money for our city. Like, it's just not something we can afford. It's not something we can even remotely afford. But it's weird because we kind of have to keep pretending and acting like it's going to happen, and staff has to keep working on it like it's going to happen, and you still have to talk about it every couple of meetings like it's going to happen, but we all know it's not going to happen. I mean, I could see why citizens get concerned and are like, oh, maybe it's going to happen, but no, I wouldn't be concerned. I'm not. I actually chuckle a little bit every time I see it, like, oh, we're still pretending that we're doing that thing. It's a joke, not a very good joke, but a joke nonetheless. It really is. This is a legacy project. Mike Vialta via Tom Freya, and it's not going anywhere. It's not. I think he's just trying to appease his old friend. I don't even think he cares and knows it's not going anywhere. But like I said, it's don't lose any sleep over the Pioneer Improvement Plan or the pseudo bypass. It's not going to happen. If you like political commentary, opinion, news, etc., on local government action, what's going on, and you want the down dirty, straight to the point version of it, well, then you need to like and follow Los Banos Talk. And you don't need to be relying anymore on social media to get your news. You can get it all at losbanostalk.com, and you can subscribe there and get all the videos and articles straight to your email address. It's totally free and very easy to do. Once again, my name is Justin Collins, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.